This episode of I Am Salt Lake podcast is proudly sponsored by Jed's Barbershop. With 3 locations, you have no reason to not always look your best. Go get a haircut, a beard trim, or even a straight razor shave. Jed's Barbershop is open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sunday, 12 to 5. Their newest location is located at 167 East, 900 South, right next to Randy's Records. They also have a location downtown at 212 South, 700 East, and up in Sugarhouse at 2153 East, 2100 South. No appointment is necessary. Just show up, get yourself a haircut. Maybe you have a last-minute date or a job interview. Jed's Barbershop is the place for you. Head on over to their website at jedsbarbershop.com for more information.
Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
Welcome to episode 294 of I Am Salt Lake podcast. My name's Chris Hollifield.
And I'm Chrissy Hollifield.
Today on the podcast, we sit down and chat with local Salt Lake City tattoo artist, Chris Rose. We find out what got him interested in becoming a tattoo artist, what brought him to Salt Lake City, his shop, Kulture Shock, and of course some of his favorite local eating spots in the city.
You know what I really liked about talking to Chris? He will tell you what he thinks. He is so straightforward.
No lies. You don't have to guess. He just tells it as it is.
It was really good.
A fascinating story.
Yeah.
I've been really eager to get this one online. I think it's a great story. A lot of us can learn from it, whether you're a tattoo artist or not. I'm going to be playing that here in just a minute. Before we get into all of that, I want to invite you to join our I Am Salt Lake Community Facebook group. It's a group we made for the listeners of this podcast to come so we can have a place to talk about all the rad stuff in Salt Lake City, including this podcast. You can join the rest of the listeners by going to iamsaltlake.com/group.
Come start a conversation.
It'll start a conversation and right over there in our Facebook community. Hey, so listen, from time to time, I know we all run into those moments where we need a photographer. Whether it's a family get-together, you're looking to get some headshots, or if you're like us, you're looking for a wedding photographer, you want to get somebody who's good and knows what they're doing. We invite you to check out the photography of local photographer Amanda DeWolf. She's the one who took all of our wedding photos, and I know I seriously cannot be any happier with how they came out.
She will do a great job.
Check out all of her work. She's even has prints for sale. They're up on her website. Go to amandakmemories.com. Again, that's Amanda, K-A-Y, memories.com. All right, let's jump into that conversation that we had with local Salt Lake City tattoo artist Chris Rose when he came over to our office and shared his story. Enjoy. Where did you grow up? Let's start right there then, since we're talking about Utah.
So I'm from Victorville, California.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading that online because I grew up down in Ventura. So I was like, oh, Victorville's not super far from Ventura.
Yeah, which is like, well...
It's closer than
45 minutes, but it's
closer
like,
than Salt Lake is.
For sure. Oh, yeah, for sure. But it's like geographically night and day. You have like beach. I have desert and meth heads.
Yeah. Do you remember Victorville when we drove through that,
too.
Chrissy?
Not really.
Do you remember Barstow?
Like California,
California.
the Joshua trees. I remember the
Everybody
Joshua
remembers
trees.
Barstow.
Yeah.
And it's just a little bit south
Barstow's
of Barstow.
where I made that illegal left-hand turn, and then the cop followed
got
me.
Freaked out, right?
And I
This
was
is
like,
how I remember
I'm like,
things.
oh my gosh, I'm going to get a ticket. We're on a road trip to California.
And he
This
did
is
not
no
care.
way. Cop ended up just passing me.
Well, that's right, because usually they're dicks.
Yeah.
CHP's awful.
So what brought you to Salt Lake then? What brought you up here to Utah, of all places?
So I have family that moved up here from San Diego. They lived in San Diego and had a house and all that. They came out here to visit. I had like a step aunt, and she came out here. And then the rest of the family, my step family, it's actually my mom's step family, ended up following them. And I just came out here to visit. I used to ski and stuff when I was a kid. And I liked the city. Like, it was just like a cool, chill city. I was apprenticing a tattoo in California in Victorville, and the owner of the shop I was apprenticing at had just gotten arrested and we all had to clear out of the shop.
That'll do something for your job.
Yeah, it was definitely
Job security
motivating.
gone.
Yeah. And he totally. So there was a dude in our shop that stole stuff on his way out. So when I'd first started my apprenticeship, he took copies of all of our driver's licenses, and so he sent them to all the other shops saying that like I stole a bunch of shit, which I didn't.
What?
Like I was a super good like clean cut kid. I still am. And so I had no other options. Like
You had to leave the
Victorville was
state.
burned, and I was like, dude, I'm over it. Like California sucks. It's an awful place. Like it's great to go visit California for like a few weeks, go to like San Diego, go like a few
But
weeks
you
a
wouldn't
year.
want to live there.
Hell no.
Really?
I hate it.
It's
I
so
hate it
refreshing
much.
to hear that because I feel like California is so overrated.
See,
by
and sometimes,
super overrated.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, LA would be such a fun city to live in.
It's fun.
For
It's
a
fun to
minute.
go visit and like
Meh.
go to the comedy store. We go to the Museum of Death. Like
Yeah.
I love all that stuff, but for a week.
Okay.
And then after like 5 or 6 days, I'm like, dude, I can't. Like Salt Lake's home. Like I
Yeah.
love it here.
And how
Like,
long have you been here then?
So I got here in 2007. So I've
Okay,
been here,
so
like,
about
11
10,
years.
10
yeah.
11 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've been here. I've been
So
here
you've been
a
here
while.
a minute. You've seen
Yeah.
it change. You've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of it change for sure.
So if you were apprenticing to be a tattoo artist in California, did you
Right.
finish here? Or I mean,
Yeah. So I was a year in California, and it was a shit shop. I learned
Yeah.
everything the wrong way. So when I came out here, I started at Ironclad, and I thought I was way better than I was. I thought I was all cocky. Oh, I'm a cool tattooer, and I sucked. I was awful. So they were like, well, you can start on here, but you're going to start out as like a working apprentice. So I basically did another year under them and kind of polished everything off, and then just kind of grew from there.
And where then after Ironclad, did you work out of there for a little while? I mean,
I was at
how-
Ironclad for like 5 years.
Okay, so you were there for 5 years, and
Yeah.
then at what point did you open up your current shop then?
So I worked at Painted Temple in between then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I went from Ironclad. I was there for 5 years, and I went to Painted Temple, and I was there for like maybe 3. I think right under 3 years.
They're up a Sugarhouse.
Sugarhouse, yeah. It's on like right off of Highland and 21st-ish.
What was the difference? I mean, the biggest difference, even just switching tattoo shops, like from going to Ironclad to Painted Temple,
Night and day shops.
just the clientele more or less? or?
So Ironclad's very much like it's on State Street. It's like a street shop. You just have random people coming in, kind of getting their own little things. Painted Temple was very much like a private studio. So we all had little rooms. There were almost no walk-ins. So it was just basically like you survived on your own clientele and your own hustle.
Is that tough?
Yes and no. I mean, you're either going to make it or you're not, which is good. It like forces you to work harder and, be better and, constantly keep motivated. It can be tough. If you don't have something booked that day, you just don't have something booked that day. You figure out something else, where if you're at a street shop, you're going to sit there, you're going to sit there in hopes that somebody walks in and you can make some money that day.
But street shops must be kind of boring because people are just like, oh, I want that on the wall.
Street shops are super entertaining though. Like you have the craziest fucking people walking into street shops with the most insane ideas, and they have no idea what they're doing, and they're all on drugs.
Do you
And
ever
it's
get a kick
super
out of that?
fun.
You're like, here we go.
Oh, it's
I'm just gonna do what you want.
I mean, there's days where it's like I don't want to deal with this shit today, but for the
Yeah.
most part, it's super fun. Like, yeah, it's
So
super
that leads
entertaining.
me into a question. So we have a private I Am Salt Lake Facebook group,
Right.
which I invite you to join.
Right, for sure.
Anybody can join up. But I mentioned that I was going to be interviewing you on this
Right.
episode. So there's a question: weirdest tattoo indoor location that you've been requested. Since you're talking about kind of crazy characters, I'm sure you had some weird requests.
Yeah, I tattooed one of my old coworkers' tongues. That was super.
I've seen
weird.
that. I've seen
Yeah,
that. It doesn't stay in though.
His stayed like pretty decently. He was a straight edge kid, so we just did a big black X on his tongue.
Okay.
And the process didn't seem fun. I just grabbed his tongue and ripped it out of his mouth and just went to town. And
Would that ruin your taste buds?
No, he said it didn't. He just said it tasted like ink forever. He just
Yeah.
had this like really gross taste in his mouth for a few days.
See, and I used to want to get like the inside of my lip done. I
Yeah, and
used
that
to
always
want-
looks like shit.
And
I mean,
because you have to keep touching it up too, right?
Yeah, and that skin's super. It's like gelatinous. You know, it's like a jelly.
It,
so
it like
that
flakes
doesn't
off
have-
too. I mean, it
Yeah,
Yeah.
it regenerates
Ugh.
like pretty constantly. So yeah, there's not like I don't know. It doesn't have that consistency that the ink needs to stay. It usually either falls out or it just blows
But there's
out.
something tough about it. You're just like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, look at this.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Do your head. That's tough.
See, and I've heard people that have head tattoos that deal with headaches and stuff like that because of the head tattoos. So you've never
The biggest
heard-
headache was getting it done. It was a nightmare.
Do you have your entire head done? Is
No, just into my scalp.
it- Okay.
Just kind of what's there continues, but
Yeah,
it's not.
I don't know.
It's not a treat.
Yeah. not my. What about the like strangest tattoo? Is that you don't want to put anybody on blast?
Weird stuff. I mean, I've tattooed like decapitated babies. I've tattooed like I love doing weird stuff though. Like I mean, that's what I thrive on. I hate doing swallows and anchors and
really.
Yeah, bring me a weird idea and I'll run with it. I love it.
It's definitely got to like make you feel like you're using your creativity and your skills.
Yeah, for sure. More. And I love stuff that like, so I love like Bob's Burgers and stuff like that. So I love being able to do like nerdy stuff and doing weird. Like I did like
some amazing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle tattoos.
Yeah, for sure.
I was like, aw.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was showing
great.
Chrissy because when she wants to get a sleeve done of like old school cartoons, you know,
for sure.
I mean, I'm sure you've done a million of those, but
yeah, I know. I was like, that's legit.
And so I was showing her, I was saying, well, Chris Rose has great work.
Yeah, I mean,
that style, really.
So basically when I started at Painted Temple, I my portfolio was like a mixed bag. Like I had some like realism. When I first started getting tattooed, it was all color realism in California. That was like the big thing. So that's kind of what I thought I was going to do was realism, and that's what I drew the most of, and that's like what I enjoyed at the time. And then I started at Painted Temple, and I was there with Daniel Walker and Oak Adams, which are like arguably the best black and gray tattooers in Salt Lake. And I was this new kid with the two of them, and Oak was kind of like, well, you need to figure out which direction you want to go. You know, either do realism or do cartoons. And I kind of looked at it like, well, you guys obviously have the black and gray like realism market covered. I'm going to do cartoons. Like, this is what I love. It makes me happy to draw. Which kind of backfired. It kind of wasn't the best idea.
Why is that?
Illustrative stuff just doesn't have the market that it used to. Like New School was way big, like in the 90s, early 2000s. It's kind of died off. It's kind of morphed into like Pixar-y looking things. And it's really big on the East Coast. It's just dead in the West Coast.
Do you think like having kind of being told to go in one direction was a good thing? Or
yes,
now
yes
that
and
you're
no.
more experienced, do you prefer having a broad spectrum or a specialty?
Yes and no. I mean, I think it's like anything. I think if you pigeonhole yourself to one thing, you're going to get epic at that one thing.
Yeah.
But then when you have to do something different, you're totally out of your element and you're like thrown for a loop. In certain cases, like with Oak and with Dan, you know, there's a lot of people in town now that just do like black and gray. It works for them because that's a really popular thing. There's, you know, out of the chunk of people that want to get tattooed, a huge chunk of those people want what they do.
Sure.
It backfired on me because what I love to do, there wasn't that big chunk of people there that wanted it. So I loved it. I had a ton of fun, but financially it wasn't worth, you know, it wasn't paying the bills.
But as a tattoo artist, and I'm sure like somebody who's been in it for a while, such as yourself, you can kind of experiment with different things or no?
Yeah, for sure. And I've definitely like my style has changed. I still love doing like crazy illustrated stuff, but like the abstract kind of sketchy watercolor movement is huge right now. Everybody wants that. And I don't mind doing it. A lot of times I love doing it. So I started like picking up some of those projects here and there, and they worked, and those have taken off now. So I very rarely get to do like fun new schooly stuff. It's mostly like abstract, sketchy, you know, kind of loosely done stuff. And I try to incorporate elements of both, you know, so it's not like super loose and looks awful. You know, it still has like technical ability, shows technical ability, but, you know, still like something cool to look at and something different.
What even got you interested in art? Back up way, I mean, like as a child, were you always drawing?
I mean, I always doodled. I was a kid that doodled on his math homework instead of doing it. I didn't take art seriously at all until college. And even then, like, you know, I barely took it seriously. I don't know. I didn't want a regular job. I didn't want to be like, I was working at Rite Aid out of high school, and like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't have anything else going. And then these kids came in, they would always come in and buy beer, and they were like covered in tattoos. They had like their throats all tattooed, and they knew that I drew. And they said, you know, hey, the guy that we get tattooed by, like, he's looking for an apprentice. You should go in and talk to him. I was like, all right. Like I had like a couple tattoos at the time. I was hanging out at a different tattoo shop, which was very like upscale, like very different than the shop I was about to apprentice at. And I went in there and just kind of showed him what I did. And unfortunately, like, this shows the quality of the shop. Like, I was one of the better artists there as an apprentice who didn't know shit.
Oh, wow.
Like, those guys didn't know how to draw at all. Like, I had to like draw things for them and like show them what they were doing wrong. And I knew nothing. So it was very, very like bare bones where I started. And then just worked up from there. And I didn't take it seriously for a long time. I don't think I took like art and tattooing seriously until I moved to Painted Temple. And then, you know, working under those dudes, I feel like I was pushed a little bit more. And then, you know, I kind of go through waves. I kind of go through an ebb of flow of caring and not caring and, you know, trying hard and getting distracted.
Most jobs are that way, though, really.
Yeah.
It's just hard, though, because with tattooing, you're not allowed to do that. You know, you have to be on your game. It's not like McDonald's where if you burn a burger, you throw it away. You know, you have to be on your game every day. Every tattoo has to be the best tattoo you can do. Right.
What was it? There was a story I was reading. I mean, well, there's been a handful of stories of people screwing up on people's tattoos, but like purposely and then not purposely. And
right.
Really? I
did you ever
hear about that?
There was an article years ago. Remember that like pile of poop and with the flies on it or something?
Yeah, and I wonder how much of that's bullshit.
Yeah, I wonder if that was real. You know?
I don't know. I don't know what that one. There was that other one where the girl claimed that she claimed that she fell asleep while she was getting her face tattooed, and then ended up with like a gazillion stars on her face. And then that totally was like blown open. That
how could you fall asleep while someone's tattooing your face?
You don't fall asleep while someone's tattooing your face.
In and of itself is a red flag.
It's so relaxing.
Yeah, it just feels
just
great.
like a nice
So what was your first tattoo? It's always embarrassing, right? No.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it was awful. It was this little cholo kid came in. I think he had like
No. The first tattoo you got.
Oh, that I got. Oh, I got amazing tattoos. My first tattoos were done by one of the best tattooers in the world.
Who's that?
So Nico Hurtado.
Oh, yeah. I used I'm for Instagram. I've seen pictures on Instagram.
Yeah, he's huge. So I just happened to like walk into his shop in California, knew nothing.
You didn't even know nothing
and he
about
just
him.
had a spot open.
I was booked out forever. I wanted Edward Scissorhands' portrait, and he was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like I'm super into it. It's on my leg.
See it?
Have you familiar with his tattoo work, Chrissy?
No,
follow him on Instagram.
I'm familiar.
Blows
with
me out of the
Edward's
water.
Oh yeah,
hands.
yeah. He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I have like one of his first like 10 color portraits, and he wanted to do more of it. That dude's a hustler. Like he works his ass off. Like he knew that he wanted to be great from day one, and he's really, really motivated. And I just happened to walk in, and I wanted all Tim Burton stuff. So I have Beetlejuice from him. I have Pee Wee Herman. I have Vincent Price. I have Edward. I have a bunch of different stuff that he wanted to do.
All tattooed on you.
Yeah. And so my first tattoo from him, I sat 9.5 hours. That was my first tattoo, and sat all damn day and got this huge piece on my leg. And then from then we ended up like becoming pretty decent friends. I traveled with him to the conventions, and I would basically win awards for him. Like I like me and another dude, Robert. We helped kind of him start his name. Like we did all the conventions. We won all of his first place trophies for him, and just kind of, obviously he won them because he did the work and it's amazing. But, we showed it off for him, and we'd hang out with the group, and that's what made me fall in love with tattooing. It kind of like ruined tattooing for me because I thought tattooing was like all as epic as that situation was, which it's not. Like tattooing's like, after that, it's kind of a letdown.
It set your standards pretty high.
Way
initially.
High.
Yeah.
Way high. I mean, the group of guys that I was around were at the best of their game at the time. Like I was hanging out with prodigies, and I just thought like, oh, this is tattooing. And it's not, it's not at all. And it was like a crash course for me when I was like, I didn't realize how much work they had to put into it, and how, they were doing it every day. It was a daily grind, every day work, as hard as you can. To get to the level where they were at. I saw the fun party side of it. I saw like, oh, you just hang out and go to conventions and win awards, and like I saw
work.
Right. I saw the time that he would put it on my stuff, but I didn't see the time that he was putting it on everybody every day. And how,
it's like the
how
Picasso
hard it was to work.
Story. Have you heard of the story of Picasso who drew on a napkin and threw it away, and some lady pulled it out of the trash can?
I've heard this story.
Yeah, and then he wouldn't let her have it. She wanted him to sign it, and he's like, no, that's mine. And she's like, well, it took you 10 seconds. Yeah. And he's like, no, it took me my whole life.
Right.
Okay, that might be a total not real story, but
yeah, no,
it works.
It makes sense, for sure. For sure. So, yeah, I mean, it's...
Do you think the Salt Lake City tattoo artist, like, do you think it's oversaturated here with tattoo artists?
Oh, fuck yes.
Yeah, it seems that way, right?
It's so oversaturated.
Like every corner, new shop.
And it's so oversaturated with kids that don't know what they're doing, and they think that they're gods to the industry. It's super discouraging.
So I'm going to have you do this. What would you recommend? Say somebody's listening, they've never gotten a tattoo, they don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
What would you tell them? I mean, obviously you would tell them come to you, but
not at all. I turn away as many people as I keep.
What are things that they should watch out for? Is that, or does that kind of put you on? I don't.
No, not at all.
I'm not looking for.
It's just hard. It's really hard because the way that I got tattooed was a fluke. Like I just happened to walk. I walked into like a handful of shops. And I just happened to walk into like the dude who was going to be the one of the best in the world at what it was. Like I had no idea what I was doing. So it's really hard to tell people how to take the right steps because I didn't take the right steps. I just got lucky. Yeah. I just happened to be one of those dudes. I could have easily gotten tattooed, and I almost got tattooed by somebody else who would have done not nearly as good of a job, and I wouldn't have the same story. It's hard, man. I mean, I see it all the time on Facebook where everybody's like, "Who's a good tattoo artist?" And then you get a list of every tattooer in Salt Lake. And it's like it's really tough because every client goes to their tattoo artist because they think that their tattoo artist is the best in the world.
Sure.
Like that's why you get tattooed by them. But the general public doesn't necessarily know what makes a good tattoo or what is a great tattoo. It's great for you, you love it, that's awesome, but it may not be what the person who's looking for a recommendation is looking for.
It seems like we're really lucky in today's age where you could get on Instagram and really just start following tattoo artists.
Yeah.
And then see what style you like and study. Whereas before you went door to door. Be able to do that.
Yeah, I just went into a bunch of shops. I just kind of hit the pavement and looked in the phone book and started going to shops. And, I found the one that I felt comfortable with, Yeah, right. It makes me sound old as shit. I'm only 32. And it's like, I looked in the phone book.
So when did you open up Culture Shock then? Your shop you have now.
So it was a private studio that I opened 2 years ago, and I did the private studio thing for a while.
And for people listening that aren't familiar with that terminology, what does that mean? Private studio.
It was just a small, it was much like the room we're podcasting in, just kind of a small studio. I worked by myself. It is what it is. It's a private studio.
And is it still a private studio now, or you opened it more public, or?
Oh no, no. So when I moved locations. To the current store, it's very much an open, it has a storefront, it has, walk-in ability. I have 3 dudes working for me. Yeah, 3 dudes working for me.
And one of them's Clint McInnes, right? Who's been on the podcast before.
Yeah, Clint came over. So I had known Clint for a while. Him and I were like lunch buddies, He's a good dude. And I knew that I could help him out a little bit artistically, and I knew he could help me out not being an asshole.
It's always good.
Yeah, because he's like a super positive dude. And I'd always give him shit for it because I'm like, I don't know, I'm a little bit cynical. I say that I'm a realist and Clint's an optimist, but he says I'm cynical. So I knew that it would be a good balance, and that's what I really pushed for in the new shop. It wasn't necessarily like any artist can be a better artist, but not everybody can have like the right attitude and work together really well. And that's what when I built this shop, I knew that had to happen or it wasn't going to work.
How is it being down there by like the homeless shelters?
So it's crazy right now because they just arrested all those people.
Yeah, I was kind of reading about it online.
They did 87 2 days ago. They arrested 87 people. So right now it's a ghost town. It's crazy.
But in general,
it's honestly it gets taxing because we deal with it every day. But for the client walking in, it's no different than anywhere on State Street. It has its moments, but it's weird. It seems like it comes in flows.
Have you ever had a homeless person come in there and be like, "Oh, can you tattoo me?"
Oh, we had a chick offer to blow us for water.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow. Well, you took her up, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. We all did.
That sounds like a safe thing to do.
We all did. Yeah, it was just water. Yeah, sure. I got a tap. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we get it doesn't happen a ton. I mean, they're pretty smart. They know, number one, they know not to come into a tattoo shop. We're not going to be the nicest people in the world, stereotypically, we're not the nicest people in the world.
Sure.
So,
which is ironic because I've always found that people with tattoos are genuinely the nicest people in the world.
For sure. Yeah. No,
way nicer than all the other people.
I totally agree.
Even though they have sweet prison tattoos. First time her mom ever saw a picture of me, she asked about my prison tattoos.
Nice. Yeah.
He's got some nice prison tattoos.
He's got some sweet prison tattoos.
Spider web on his elbow.
How many years?
What?
I'm sure you've heard the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Adorable.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I get because especially my portraits, I'll have people my Edward Scissorhands, some girl came up to me and she's like, "Why would you want that?" And I was like, "What?" And she's
Why
not?
Marilyn Manson? I can't believe you have Marilyn Manson on your leg. I'm like, number one, I like Marilyn Manson, so fuck you. And number two, it's not Marilyn Manson. That's Edward Scissorhands.
If you don't know Edward Scissorhands, I don't want to talk to you.
Right. And I had another dude, he looked at my Vincent Price and he was like, "Oh, dude, I love your Richard Pryor tattoo." And I was like, "Richard Pryor's black." And he's like,
that is not even close.
Not even close. I'm like, and he's like, "Oh, who's the name I'm looking for?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't know, but it's not Richard Pryor." So I mean,
that is awesome.
Yeah, the general public is awful. I get it.
Amazing.
Tattooing in my head was like the worst idea ever because I did white and nobody's ever seen it. So I had people yell from across stores, gas stations, like, what's that on your head? And it's like, don't worry about it. Like why are you missing teeth? Like, quit bugging me. It's the general public's horrible.
Getting tattoos, it's like a whole different world opens up that you didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
People, is it okay? Is it like being pregnant where people feel like they can say anything to you and it's okay?
Well, or they'll feel like they need to show you every tattoo of theirs because all of a sudden you're best friends because they have a tattoo on their arm or on their stomach or on their back and it might be a butterfly.
Yeah, they'll see your work and they'll be like, "Oh man, that's an amazing tattoo. Check this out." And they'll show you some like dog shit that their homie did in their basement. You're like, "Cool." My response is always, "Well, that's a tattoo." And like that's it. Like, dude, like what do you want me to say about that? It's horrible.
Oh man.
That's amazing.
We actually need to take a quick break to play a message from our sponsor, but then when we come back, there was a few more questions on Facebook.
Awesome.
That I got to make sure to ask you. So
I'll answer them.
So hang tight. This episode of I Am Salt Lake Podcast is proudly sponsored by Jed's Barbershop. With 3 locations, you have no reason to not always look your best. Go get a haircut, a beard trim, or even a straight razor shave. Jed's Barbershop is open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sunday, 12 to 5. Their newest location is located at 167 East, 900 South, right next to Randy's Records. They also have a location downtown at 212 South, 700 East, and up in Sugarhouse at 2153 East, 2100 South. No appointment is necessary. Just show up, get yourself a haircut. Maybe you have a last-minute date or a job interview. Jed's Barbershop is the place for you. Head on over to their website at jedsbarbershop.com for more information. So just because I don't want to not mention these questions, just for the sake of the people being like, "Oh, you didn't ask my question."
Right.
Nicole, she wanted to know what sets him and his space apart from the multitude. I think we kind of covered that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's hard. I mean, what really does separate a space? You know, it's like we do tattoos, we hang out. I mean,
I think it's more.
What more
style.
do you want?
Like, it's more. I think kind of you were talking about that earlier.
For
like
sure.
if you want black and white or portrait. Cartoon,
I mean,
Sailor Jerry, old school.
For sure. I mean, we have 2 dudes that do kind of, traditional, neo-traditional stuff. Clint does like mainly like neo-traditional kind of stuff. I do new school and watercolor stuff. And then Eric has, a long history in black and gray and, different things like that. So, I mean, I tried to kind of assemble a team that could kind of do whatever, and do it well. I think probably the most important thing about our shop is that if you come in with something that we're not going to do well, we just won't do it. And I think that's like, it's super important, to not get tattooed by somebody who just wants to make the buck.
Yeah.
I turn down stuff all the time that it's just like, that's not what I do. Like, go see my friend, go see so-and-so, go see this person, go see that person, because they're going to do it way better than I do.
Are you kind of at the point where you can kind of pick and choose a little bit?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, you could always make more money.
Sure.
You could always be more booked. But to me, like, if I get overly booked and I have a bunch of projects I don't like tattooing. And like, I have to keep liking what I do to do it. The day that tattooing becomes a job is when I go take a vacation. So for me, it's worth it. I may take a little cut in pay here and there, but it keeps me happy.
There's another question here. Who is your favorite person? Who is the favorite person he works with? Oh, that's from Clint.
So that's definitely Brad Snow. He's definitely my favorite employee.
I knew it was from Clint. I just had to sneak because he really did post anyway. And then Alan,
Clint's always fishing for compliments, of course.
Alan Martindale, you mentioned knowing him.
Yeah.
He said, "Hey, he's my tattoo artist.
Yeah.
Ask him about horror movies and how much he loves tattooing Leatherface on short bearded assholes."
Yeah, Alan's not a bearded asshole. He's one of my favorite clients. He's awesome. So I tried doing the urban flea market just to sell prints. Last year I did a ton of digital art, and I was like, I'm going to see what it's like to sell prints. It was a horrible, miserable experience.
Really?
It didn't work. Yeah. Selling like art in Utah is pretty bad. Like it definitely, unless you fit a certain niche and you really hustle, it wasn't great. But it was great because I got to meet people like Alan. So I did like a little Simpsons at a Millhouse tattoo on him. I met him there. He showed up a couple months later.
You did the tattoo there at the flea market?
No. I just met, I just like shook hands and had a portfolio.
Sure.
And I mainly sold prints. Like that was my sold prints and make a few bucks there. It was just marketing, just meet people. And so Alan came up and he wanted to get that Millhouse tattoo. And then he just hit me up like a month ago and was like, "Oh, I want a Leatherface and a Michael Myers." And I'm like, "Oh, awesome." He wants it like new school, which is what I love to draw. And yeah, he's awesome. He's a cool dude.
And so you tattooed it on him?
Yeah, we started it. Yeah, I think we're like halfway done with the Michael Myers. We're doing the whole outside of his upper arm. So they're like pretty decent sized pieces.
Very cool.
So yeah.
Sounds like it's right up your alley there.
Yeah,
he's
except
a
for
red
the
dude.
horror story, horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's my life. I love the gross and disgusting.
I'm sure we'll get back to tattooing, but just to make sure we touch on everything, let's talk about the podcast you do.
Yeah, cool.
What's the name of it?
It's called Bad Ash Podcast.
Bad Ash.
Yeah, but I
Podcast.
don't know if you know the Evil Dead series.
I'm not that familiar
There was
with
like
it.
an Evil Ash, a Bad Ash.
Now, you weren't around since the beginning of it, though, right?
No,
what's the story there?
Yeah, so
or
Kaylee and Levi started it, and then I was tattooing Kaylee. I actually did a cool, or not illustrated, but stylized portrait from the Evil Dead on her, and she was telling me that she was starting it, and I was sponsoring it. I did like their business logo or their podcast logo and stuff. And she's like, she's like, I'll pay you, and I was like, just give me a shout out every once in a while, like whatever, and I told her from day one, like, if you have a guest and it's not me, I'm going to be pissed. Like, I want to come on this. Like, I want to do this. I'm obsessed with podcasts. I listen to a ton of different ones. So when she was starting it, I was a little jealous, and especially being like a genre that I like. So the time had come. I think they did like 5 or 6 just kind of like work out the bugs.
Sure.
And then they were like, well, if you want to come on and hang out and talk, let's do it. So I went on there and we just did one that was, we talked about like mummification and then modern embalming. Like that's what I covered. And it was just so much fun to just like hang out and bullshit about things that I love.
So you've only been on a few episodes in.
Yeah,
right?
I just did.
It's a pretty new podcast, right?
Yeah, we're only like 8 episodes in, and I think I've only done 2 that are released. I just did our 3rd together.
So you probably don't have to deal with like the editing and all of the
luckily,
technical stuff. You just get to come in and talk.
Yeah, I come in like a whirlwind, and we have our notes. We all kind of do research on the same topic, but like separately. And then we just kind of spit it all out on a topic. And luckily her husband, Eric, does all the editing and stuff for us. It's very like not safe for work, very like
but that's how a podcast should be.
I love it, man. I love being able to say whatever the hell I want to say.
Does it make you want to do more podcasts?
Yeah, dude, I was super stoked about doing this because we had done that I'd done that one episode, and then I hit you up, and you're like, oh yeah, I wanted you to come on. I was like, dude, this is great. Like I love it. Like I love.
Well, you were in the back ever since with Clint.
Yeah,
and Clint went over there. I think he introduced me or told me.
Yeah,
and so you were on like my radar.
And then I tattooed Alan right after Alan did it, and I was like, dude, you gotta talk. I told Alan like, you gotta talk to Chris for me. Like, I want to come on. I want to like do it. You know, so it's fun. I don't know. This is great.
Bad Ash like? What do you guys kind of cover?
Yeah.
Horror, macabre, creepy, cryptozoology, like anything that's.
Didn't you have like an Alfred Hitchcock episode?
Yeah, so we did the Alfred Hitchcock, which was that was my second episode. And I hate Alfred Hitchcock. It's so boring.
Really,
it's so boring. It's like I live in a world of like Twitter and like Facebook. I need something that like keeps my attention.
Did you listen to the podcast? I think it's just called Hitchcock or. Oh man, what is it? It's about Alfred Hitchcock, Psycho, Behind Psycho.
I've never seen Psycho.
You've never seen Psycho?
No, I'm a huge horror movie fan, but I grew up like super religious and like conservative.
Did you grow up Mormon?
No, I grew up Christian.
Okay.
Like non-denominational, right?
Really?
And my folks are like super chill. They're like non-judgmental, but I didn't watch a rated R movie. I didn't listen to like secular music until I was like way out of high school.
Yeah, it sounds like me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds like you.
For me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. What blew
Were
my
you
mind on
homeschooled?
that? No. I went to Christian school for like till like 5th grade. And then I went to public school after that, which was like quite the
So you're just
culture
eating it
shock.
up now, man. You're just like, oh, I want that.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
I
I've
want
always,
junk
yeah,
food.
and I've always
I've
been attracted to like the dark things in life. Like
Yeah.
even when I was like religious, like I kind of thought it was all bullshit, and I
Well,
was
they're
like,
more interesting, to be fair.
it's way more fun to love Satan than Jesus. Like who doesn't love the Joker? You know, like
Yeah.
the Batman's boring. Like I love the villains.
Is more intricate.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure.
That's
it's
awesome.
it's so great. So yeah, why not?
So the podcast, back to that.
Yeah.
Do you have a website for it or no? Is it just up on iTunes?
No,
or?
we don't have a website. It's just up on iTunes and Stitcher and SoundCloud and all
Facebook
that crap.
page,
Yeah, we have a
anything?
Facebook page, and then we have an Instagram page. And I think we're on Twitter. I've never been on Twitter before. I think Kaylee does some stuff on Twitter. But it's, it's all of it in its infancy. We're figuring stuff out. I feel like they're definitely getting better each one we do.
Well,
we're
that's-
kind of
that's what
figuring
it's all
things
about,
out.
man.
And we're kind of getting like the feel of each other. I didn't know Levi at all. My first like interaction with Levi was like the first podcast together. So it's like, figuring out people's personalities and like how things work and like
It's hard
learning
to figure out the dynamic between how you're
For
going to
sure.
actually have a conversation and stuff.
For sure. And the hardest part is learning to catch people when they stumble. You're really good at that. Like the second one of us stumbles, you like come in with a question. Like you're ready to go. And that's super hard in podcasting.
I don't even notice that I am.
No,
it's
you
just
do.
a skill I've learned.
No,
right?
you do, and you do it good. Yeah. And that's something that like we don't do yet. Like we'll just like let each other like fuck up and stumble and like on a word, and then you just sound like an idiot. But
You can,
but
edit, you can
fun.
edit it out too. Though,
That's why I just stay
know?
quiet half the time. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll just let Chris do that.
And I'm the
Get at
opposite.
it.
I come in like guns blazing. Like I didn't realize how much I talk and how fast I talk until my first podcast. I listened to it and I was like, how did he speed up my voice? This is like, how did he separate me from everybody else?
It's
Speed it
hard
up.
to hear your own voice.
It is.
Right.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
And when you're excited and you're talking, it's like you don't realize that it's fast.
No,
You're
and-
just getting it
yeah.
out there.
And I get super excited about dumb shit. So I'm just like, just going nuts. It's like
I wonder if
I need
there's any-
to chill.
I'm sure there is, but what if you did like a podcast where you just interview tattoo artists? That would be cool, right?
Yeah, I kind of thought about that.
But I guess that really wouldn't put. You can almost do your own podcast for your tattoo shop somehow. I don't know how you
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, and I don't know how much I want to be involved in the tattoo industry. Like I'd rather talk about cool dead shit. and-
Like you'd rather have interests aside from it. and
yeah,
talk about
yeah.
those.
Like
Yeah.
I love tattooing, but I don't like live tattooing. It's like I do it. It's my job. I've done it forever. I don't know how I would do anything else. But I don't look up other tattooers on Instagram. I don't know.
Let's talk about taxidermy then.
Yeah, for
Let's
sure.
talk
yeah,
about.
bone beetle.
Well, no, I want to make sure we
yeah.
get to everything. With
I know.
time and everything like
We're
that.
gonna blow right over this time.
But taxidermy,
Yeah.
I've always been fat. I've told you.
Chris has been talking
I'm
about
like,
taxidermy since I met him.
Teach
probably
me how
before.
to be a taxidermist.
Yeah.
So I don't
Expert.
do like traditional taxidermy. Like some people don't know. Like traditional taxidermy, like when you see
Like a raccoon or a
Yeah,
deer.
Like it's in
So-
its natural state.
right. That's just the skin of the animal, and it's put over like a foam doll, basically. And it'll have little embedded glass eyes and stuff like that. I appreciate that, but I never want to do that. Like there's some of it that's done amazingly and looks beautiful, but it's like not for me. I just don't like it. I do really gross stuff. I do like wet preservation. So I do like full bodied things that are suspended in fluid. Kind of what you would see in like college, in your college biology classes or even high school, everybody had wet specimens. I do that. I do mummification. So I mummify like a lot of fetuses. So I'll buy like from a farm. I'll
From
buy
Planned
like
Parenthood? Is that where you're buying
I
them?
wish, dude. I've been trying every day. I send them a letter and I just get rejection every time.
But you go get like a pig fetus.
I'll go get a pig uterus and then I'll cut the fetuses out and then I'll preserve. I'll figure out if I want to like suspend it in fluid or if I want to mummify it. Like
And
whatever
what
I
got
wanna
you
do
into
that with.
this?
I'm weird. I don't know.
Well,
like, I just
something had to get you into it.
My dad's weird. Yeah, I grew up in a house that was like full of reptiles, and like my dad was all into weird like skulls and shit like that. So it just kind of came like second nature. I did it like not as a business, just kind of like as a hobby and just like something I did when I was bored. And then somebody else kind of like sparked me to do it more, you know, and they're like, why don't you look at this as a business? And I was like, oh, that's not a bad idea. Like I could probably do that.
Sure.
And then anything I do, like the second I set my mind to it, I just hit the ground running. So that's...
So do you actually sell these pieces?
Yeah, for sure. Wow. Yeah, we have a storefront in the front of Culture Shock. Mm-hmm. It's called Bone Beetle. It's like a whole separate thing. I do like conventions. I'm doing FearCon. And I'll do the Wasatch Reptile Expo, and I sell all those pieces there.
A website, pictures, how can people look online at all?
Yeah, mainly Instagram. Instagram has been kind of slow because I've been building the new shop and stuff, and I unfortunately haven't been able to put as much time into Bone Beetle as I want. But yeah, bone_beetle on Instagram has all, and don't go on there if you're squeamish. There's like all kinds of super gross stuff.
I haven't looked yet.
I want to look, but I'm super squeamish.
I'll look for you.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
What is the address of your shop, by the way? We'll mention it at the end. But
it's 353 West, 200 South in Salt Lake.
53. Oh yeah, that's right around the corner from where we used to live. We used to live right down there at La France.
Oh yeah,
behind the Greek church.
Yeah, it's right by. Everybody knows where Uptown Cheapskate is. Right there. It's right in that same. It's the art space, the rubber company building.
Isn't there? There's another tattoo shop in there too, isn't there? No.
No.
I thought there was.
I took over what was a shop. So I bought out. I bought out. It was Dagger Art, and I bought out that owner. He moved to Texas. I basically bought the shop as like a turnkey operation. You know, just kind of bought it as it was. When I bought it, I was like, yeah, I could work here. I can make this work. And I ended up like redoing everything. It just wasn't like what I wanted. So I kind of like, in hindsight, it was kind of like, oh, I probably spent more than I should have for a shop that I like totally rebuilt, but it worked out. It's a bitchin' location.
When you're in a creative profession, it's impossible not to want to like do that. Like create your own ambiance and your own space that fits you.
And I'm super impatient. Like I wanted it done yesterday. So it was just, me and my apprentice, we did like 3 days in a row, like 12-hour days of just like repainting stuff and ripping stuff out and just, you know, trying to make it, you know, ours.
Yeah.
So what other hobbies and interests? We got the taxidermy, you got your podcast. What else do you like to do?
Tons of horror movies. I try to hang out with my kids as much as I can. You know, try to be a husband.
How many kids do you have?
I have 2 kids.
How are they?
One's
young.
Yeah, one's almost 4.
Okay, I didn't know if you tattooed them at all. You know,
no, not yet.
Like they're not old enough.
Not yet. No.
To get tattooed.
When is it legal?
Yeah, they're 8 and 4.
Okay, here's an interesting question because I've talked to some people and I was wondering if this happened to you. I was telling her because we got a little girl coming.
Yeah.
I've heard like, do your kids ever paint their arms and be like, I want to look like dad?
Yeah. He like, so Carter,
he'll draw on his arms.
Well, he just realized that they hurt. So like he was asking about like tattoos and I was like, yeah, they hurt. And he was like, it really weirded him out. Like, oh, they're owies, you know? I'm like, yeah, they hurt. You know, it's needles, you know, and there's blood. And he like, oh, and I was like, because he always said that he wanted to get tattooed. He, like, for some reason, he's obsessed with Nightmare Before Christmas. So he was like, I have a video of him like planning out his leg, and he's like, I want this guy here and this guy here. Like,
so
he was like talking about his tattoos. But then now that he found out they hurt, he's like, nope, done. Don't even want to talk about it. Like, and I keep saying like, Carter, you gonna get a tattoo? And he never. Like, he's like, now that he knows it hurts, he's out. But yeah, I mean, they draw on themselves. They look at it. It's weird though because like, when your kid's born and you have tattoos, they don't know that you're different than like they just see that as your skin. Like they don't see like he's never seen me without a septum ring. Like he doesn't realize that's just like not who I am. You know what I mean? That was put there.
Sure.
He just thinks like dad has all this stuff on him. So I mean, it's different, you know? It's different than like when you see somebody that didn't have tattoos and now they have a bunch.
They don't have any preset notions of what people should be. You're
exactly.
Like,
well, I just didn't know like if he drew on his arm with like a pen or something like that.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, all kids do though.
Well, you know, but they think they need to look like
I used to get in trouble for that a lot.
Yeah, I did too. It was a phase.
Worth it though, because it's fun.
Yeah, right. Yeah, who cares? Scrub it off.
So what advice would you give somebody that wanted to become a tattoo artist? Is there any advice you would give them?
Yeah, don't
do it.
Yeah. I think Clint said the same thing.
Didn't Clint say the same thing? Yeah.
It's such an oversaturated market.
Well,
it's just,
back to how I said that.
Yeah. It's. I mean, unless you're somebody who's really going to dazzle the world with your art,
don't do it.
No. There's so many people that are all at the same level. There's so many 18 to 25-year-old kids that are trying to do it. You know, they have to give shit away for free. They have to, do what they can to survive. And
Like, do it as a hobby if you really...
Don't do it at all. Definitely don't do it as a hobby because you're just going to mess people up.
Well,
that's
you know,
the
if you
worst.
want to do something as a hobby...
Do it to yourself as a hobby.
Do art, you know, just, you know, become a good artist. But, I mean, unless you're really going to set the world on fire, you know, artistically, pass.
Sure.
And, you know, everybody thinks that they're going to set the world artistically on fire, but the odds are you're not.
What about just getting into business? Are you need business advice since you have your own shop now? Or
dude, I don't know how I make it work. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, what's a business? I mean, you just kind of figure out shit and
you just do it. You
just
pay the
pretend
rent,
like you know what you're doing until
doing.
it, you know,
one step ahead of your,
yeah.
You know,
it's you know, it's hard, man. It's like it's super hard keeping up on social media. You know, those kind of things are exhausting. You know, keeping my guys happy. You know, just making sure that everybody's having a good day, everybody's stoked. You know, there's little things like that I didn't consider when I left my private studio. You know, I left a studio where it was me. I didn't have to worry about shit. I worried about me. I worried about making sure I had clients that day. My rent was super cheap. You know, it was a cakewalk.
But did that get lonely?
I didn't think it did until I started with the new guys, and then I was like, oh, I miss this. Like, I miss just like we hoot and holler all day long. You know, we'd see homeless people and we hoot and holler about that. We hoot and holler about each other's clients. Like, it's a constant just like party, you know, it's not a party, but you know, it's a super fun environment. And I didn't think that I missed that until I got back into it. And then for sure, I was like, oh yeah, this is way better. Like, I like it, but I mean, it has its downsides for sure. You know, there's things that I want to do that I don't get to do because I'm, you know, dealing with tattoo stuff or, you know, dealing with bone beetle or whatever. You know, I have a lot of shit on my plate.
Yeah, you probably have to give up a lot.
Anything you care to talk about or not?
What's that?
That's on your plate.
Oh, just everything. Just
everything.
Shop. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Shop and, you know, running the two businesses and, you know, being a dad and being, you know, my wife works full time, you know, dealing with that and, you know, keeping wife happy, keeping life happy, keeping shop guys happy, keeping two businesses up, keeping.
That really is a ton to juggle.
Yeah, for sure.
If you could learn one random skill, what would it be?
Oh.
Outside of tattooing.
That's tough because I learn the shit I want to do.
That you want to do anyway.
I can eat fire. I can ride a unicycle. I can juggle. Like, I just learn shit. Like, I play didgeridoo. Like, I don't do anything really well except for, okay, that sounds super arrogant, but like, I'm not above average in anything but tattooing. But if you want to learn it, if I want to learn it, I figure it out and I just do it. Like, I wanted to like do the taxidermy shit, so I just learned it. Like, to me, it's really stupid that people don't do that stuff because we live in this age where YouTube will teach you anything you want to learn.
Yeah.
If you want to buy a computer and learn how to be a computer programmer, you can find it for free on YouTube. But everybody sits around with their thumbs up their asses like, oh, I don't know how to do it. And it's like, go figure it out. Like, it's all right there.
It's so true.
It is really true. People even email me, how do you do a podcast? I was like, well, it's out there. How to do it.
Go type in how to do a podcast on YouTube.
It's
and
rare
you will get
that people are motivated enough to actually learn something.
Yeah, and that's weird to me. Like, I don't get that, you know? And I feel like I could be more motivated. I'm definitely lazy.
But there is also, it says something to learn it from somebody who's more skilled at it, expert.
Yeah, for sure. But there's some things that doesn't matter. Like, you don't have to learn how to ride a unicycle from the world's best unicycle.
Can you learn how to be a tattoo artist from YouTube?
You can, but man, it's the hardest road to go. I mean, there's definitely a lot of people that are self-taught.
Put it on pause. Wait,
did you learn to eat fire from YouTube?
Yeah, talk about that. Talk about eating fire because I saw some pictures on Facebook of people doing that.
Yeah,
you could die from that, can't you? Like, can't the fire go inside you?
No, not really.
Fire inside you.
Yeah, right. That sounds super metal. No, I mean, it's kind of the same as any, like, it's getting over the fear. It's all mental. Like, physical pain, there's like, if you mess up, there's a little bit. Like, I burned the underside of my nose and it sucks, you know? But it's more mental. It's more like, can you grab this ball of fire and hold it in your hand until it goes out? It's a mental thing. Like, physically, it's going to get warm. But it's that mental, like, can you commit? And it's 100% like just committing. Like, the second that you hesitate is when you get hurt. So that's kind of a weird thing that, like, it's the same with like eating glass. Like, you can like,
and you do that too, I'm sure.
I've done it. I don't do it a ton,
can people hire you for parties?
No, I don't have time for that.
Oh man!
I mean,
ride a unicycle while you're eating glass.
I haven't gotten to eat fire forever. So I have a friend.
I've never been able to eat.
Yeah,
like
I
it's
don't
a
have
privilege.
time.
Like,
I literally haven't done that in forever.
Like,
I literally haven't done it in forever.
It's dessert.
Yeah, we met a guy. So I I did a lot with reptiles for like, I don't know, 3 years, like 2 years ago. And we met a guy there, and he did a ton of, he has, it's called Scales and Tails. It's like a reptile. They do like parties and stuff. And he eats fire. He's like a showman. He does like bull whips. He does like all this crazy stuff. And I was talking about eating fire, and I found somebody online that did it, and I was talking to them, and then he ended up, I just commented like, anybody eat fire? Like, I want to learn how. And he was like, oh, I do. Like, come to the shop. Like, we'll have a day of it. And so he taught us, me and my friend McKay did it. And McKay is like a total like sideshow freak looking dude. Long dreads. He has horn implants. Like, he's one of my favorite people in the world. But just totally looks like a weirdo. And he's like, I want to learn this too. So I was like, great, we'll go to his place and we'll do it. And we did it together, and we both picked it up like pretty quick, and, you know, had a lot of fun with it. But it was just like, sad to say, it was like the inconvenience. Like, we had to drive to West Valley to do it in his warehouse. And it was just like, life is just too busy. You know, it's like, I want to go do it all the time, but
that's how I am.
You really have to choose what you can and can't dedicate time to.
Can't fit it all
especially
in
the more
one day.
Yeah, and I'm definitely like, it's kind of a bad thing, is like, I can do a lot of different things, but I can't do a lot of different things really well, you know? And it's kind of like, I'm okay with that. Like, I want to learn how to eat fire. So I learned how to do it, and I can say that I can do it, but I don't do it every day.
But it's so cool that if you want to learn something, you do it, even if it's just the very basics, because then you can know if you love it. Like,
yeah, for sure.
If it's something you want to continue doing.
Yeah, for sure. And it's, I mean, I can still, so one of my clients was calling bullshit on a unicycle, and he actually brought one, and I wrote it like right then. Like, it was something I hadn't done in 10 years.
Did
and
he
I was like,
find one, or did he own one?
So he used to ride like way back in the day.
Okay.
And he's like, I bought one. I'm going to bring it to the shop.
Bought one to call you on your shit specifically? I'd be like, get a hobby.
No, and right, exactly. No, and he brought it, and he was like, he had done it for a long time. And I was like, oh, I'm sure I could still do this. And yeah, sure enough, I hopped on, and I stumbled a couple times, but yeah, it came right back. It was like riding a bicycle.
Okay, do you juggle? I have to know.
Yeah, I can juggle, but not well. It's like all the I can play the didgeridoo, but not super well.
I could juggle a little bit.
Yeah.
You can. I need to see this.
I used to dabble in birthday party clown shows.
Nice, yeah.
Late teens.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 20 years ago now.
Yeah,
I
the
guess.
pictures are amazing.
Not really. Kind of scary.
Yeah. How old did you do this until?
Well, I was between the ages. Well, I got into clowning when I was 10 years old.
Okay.
Probably stopped. It was when I went vegan when I was 17.
Okay.
I got really involved in animal rights and the circus. And
you were a super fun person to be around.
Yeah. I wasn't the happiest person to be around. So the whole clowning thing kind of got thrown out the window.
Right when you were about to crush a bunch of poon from being an 18-year-old clown.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right?
you really screwed up.
And so,
definitely
but
the way
now
to get it.
there's a part of me that's like, I wish I would have went to clown college.
Yeah, just committed.
Right?
Like Steve-O. That's what Steve-O did.
Steve-O went to clown college.
Yeah, he went to legit clown college.
Yeah, and
there was a tattooer
you can
in
still
town
go.
that did
It's
it.
never too late.
Well,
can you imagine telling that little girl when Daddy's going to clown college?
Yeah, here's your dad. He's got like flowers in his multicolored beard.
Well, see, that's another thing. You'd have to shave your beard if you want to get back into clowning.
It's really hard to do. So there was a tattoo artist in town. His name was R2, and he was like not living like the greatest, most positive life. And then he got really into like acrobats and like the wheel and all that kind of stuff. And he was doing, he was going to some like different clown schools and tried out. And I guess it's super hard. Like he was really like at an advanced level here in Utah. And then he went to these national places, and he's like, dude, there's like, little German families have been doing this shit for 100 years. And, you have this girl coming in who's like, 16, and she's been doing it her entire life. And it's just so hard to compete.
It's hard to keep up when you're clowning around. You know?
Yeah. But I mean, it would be fun. And it was super good for him. It was super like, I think anything that you do that's like a positive thing, go for it. Sure. No matter what you want to do.
Let's talk about Salt Lake City.
Okay.
If someone was visiting for one weekend,
right,
where would you tell them to go or
I'm super into animals. Like, I love animal stuff. So I always like the new aquarium's super nice. I like the one in Draper.
Yeah, Draper.
Yeah, that's super cool. The Tracy Aviary got rebuilt a couple years ago, and it's really nice now. Hogle Zoo, it's getting there. They've made some updates, and it looks a lot better than it used to. When I first got here, it was a shithole. It was kind of depressing. I grew up, 3 hours from the San Diego Zoo, which is like one of the best zoos in the world. So
you just started everything with high expectations in life, like tattooing, zoos.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, life has really been a letdown. It's all downhill. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, so I mean, I always like that kind of stuff. I'm not like, I don't know, I'm not huge into like skiing or snowboarding, so I don't really give a shit about that.
What about eating spots? Favorite local eating spots?
Oh, dude. So there's a super bitchin' Thai place that we just discovered called Lanai on like 3rd West. It's like right across the north side of Pioneer Park. It's like 3rd.
Oh, that's the place. I think it used to be.
No, I'm sorry, not 3rd West, 3rd South, and then like
they probably just changed the
4th
name.
West. It's a little tiny building. It's right next to the Brigham Cycle Company, and there's a Bruges Waffles and Frites right there.
Yeah. It used to be Edamame.
The little Thai company. Yeah.
That place is so good.
That place
I
is
love
good.
Asian food. Like, I hate like, I mean, I will, but I hate spending money on shit that I can cook at home. But I don't cook at home, so I always eat like weird stuff, like Thai or Indian or whatever.
Because
I love Asian food.
Are you like
Yeah.
a box of cereal kind of guy at home?
No, I haven't eaten cereal in forever. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not like a sweet or like really a sweet dude either. Like, but I can eat like 19 pounds of beef jerky a day. Like that's no problem. Like that
Have you ever made the pad thai from a box? What's that? I like buy it in bulk. It's pretty good.
No, I should.
Oh man, if you go to the store and look in the Asian section, there's a pad thai. I wish I could remember the company.
I'm pretty
perfect.
I'm pretty fat, and I go like back and forth on like no carb diets. So I know how much better I feel when I don't eat carbs. But then it's like a daily struggle. It's like food's my heroin. So I like always go back to it. But then I always feel like shit when I'm eating that kind of stuff. So I try not to, even though I do. And then I'm just full of self-loathing. Yeah. So I try not to do like a box of pad thai. I would eat it and I'd be super happy. But then I'm like, I'm going to go kill myself.
Just
now.
get like
This is
gluten-free
horrible.
pasta though, right? Or I guess that's still carbs. Huh?
Yeah, it's still carbs.
Yeah. Because even, I mean, that's gluten-free. Rice is still carbs.
Yeah.
What would you change about Salt Lake if you could?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like, say you were
our air.
Yeah.
Our air is like the worst air in the world.
What do you
in the
do to
winter.
change it though?
Nothing.
Yeah,
Less
it's hard.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's
more
not
people
gonna
are moving
happen.
here.
Yeah, right.
The
I don't
opposite thing is happening.
And you know,
Yeah.
the
I
hard
don't
thing
know.
is I want people to move here. Like I
Right.
do and I don't. Like,
I don't.
You don't.
know. Oh no.
Really?
No, go away. I don't want you here.
You're one of those people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
How can let's run down the list how people can find you. How can listeners find more about you online or the address again?
So Culture Shock Tattoo is on 353 West, 200 South, Salt Lake City. Instagram is the shop page is Culture Shock Tattoo. My personal Instagram is Culture Shock 801, and then there's Bone Beetle at Bone_Beetle, and then maybe that's it. Facebook. I hate Facebook though; it's a nightmare right now.
It is right now, especially
Dude,
with all
the
politics. And,
Yeah, Facebook is such a bummer.
People ruin everything.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I like Instagram. I mean, even Instagram's like starting to get shitty, but I just try not to look at it. But I'm hooked. It's so hard to like not look at your phone. You know?
Yeah.
It's got you.
Anything else, Chrissy?
Yeah.
You want to ask him?
Do you have like a favorite D horror film?
Ooh,
Like, really
Dead
bad.
Alive is super good. Great. It's like one of Peter Jackson's first movies, and it's just ridiculous blood and gore.
Awesome.
That one's super good. Yeah, it's super. I don't watch a ton of like older street trash is super good. I like new movies that are in that light. So like we just reviewed The Void, which was super fun. I love stuff like that. There's another movie called Hobo with a Shotgun that's very like throwback kind of feeling, just ridiculous gore. I like stuff that's done well. Like I'm definitely like I want to see good visuals. I want to see like I don't like shitty horror movies. So I like a lot of the remakes. Like I love the Evil Dead remake, and I think most people did, but I'm super excited about it. Like from the trailer so far, it looks super
so
good.
I agree. She doesn't agree.
Yeah.
No, I think it looks wonderful.
It ruined
but
clowns for people, you know?
it definitely had an impact on me.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, and it did for everybody. I mean, media is kind of like horror media.
I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night and dress as a clown and then go back to bed.
I'm
Right.
totally. You're gonna get stabbed in the face. Like,
Stab him. He has it coming.
That's like
Sorry,
the
man.
best way to get stabbed.
You know, I
you want this
dated a
baby
guy-
way early.
I dated a guy when I was 16 who threatened to do that, and he was an amazing artist, and he drew a card and mailed it to me of this evil clown, and the back said Hellmark. Like he trolled
that's
me,
awesome.
man, because I hated clowns. So
Yeah.
careful.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, I'm excited for that. I mean, I like remakes when they're done well. It's Dead Alive's the best though. Like go
Awesome.
watch that. It's horrible.
Cool. Had a heck of a conversation with you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming and
Hope
doing
to
the
do it
podcast.
again.
Absolutely.
We can talk for like 3 more hours, no problem.
Easily.
Next podcast, I think I want to come down. Clint wants to tattoo me while I do a podcast. I think it'd be cool. Get both of you guys
that'd be
on
crazy.
the podcast at the same time or something.
Yeah,
like
let us
that.
know. We'll shut down the shop
They
and
each
make
get
it
an
all
arm,
easy.
and I'll just watch.
Nah.
Yeah, we'll each get an arm. How tough are you? I got a third, dude. You want-
I've actually been told that I could handle getting tattoos very well for the type of guy I am.
well, we could. What does that
For
mean?
the type of guy you
We're gonna find out. We got two of us on you.
Oh, awesome.
amazing.
Thank you so
Cool.
much.
Yeah, thanks.
You bet. All right. Many thanks again to Chris Rose for coming on the podcast and sharing his story. All the links to get in touch with him, find out more about Culture Shock, and all the things that he's doing, those can all be found with the show notes for this episode at iamsaltlake.com/294, episode 294. So reach out to him.
Yeah, for sure.
Let
he,
him know
he does
you
some
were on the
amazing work.
podcast. And I know Chrissy wants to get some tattoo work.
Oh man, I
from
saw
him.
his. I know he says cartoons are out, but he does some amazing cartoon work that I want.
Go check out his portfolio. I
Yeah.
think we can all agree that it's good stuff. But listen up. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Jed's Barbershop. With 3 locations, you have no reason to not always look your best. Go get a haircut, a beard trim, even a straight razor shave. Jed's Barbershop is open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday 9 to 7, and Sunday 12 to 5. Their newest 3rd location is open. It's at 167 East, 900 South, right next to Randy's Records. They also have a location downtown at 212 South, 700 East, and up in Sugarhouse, 2153 East, 2100 South. No appointments necessary. Just show up, grab a haircut. Pro tip is you can call up while you're driving over, get your name on the list so you can get in a little bit quicker. JedsBarbershop.com is their website, though. Head on over there and check out more. Hey, that's going to do it for this episode. Don't forget, you can join our Facebook group. You can find that by heading over to iamsaltlake.com/group, which will forward you to Facebook. You request to join. It's free to join. It's
Free
great.
to join, free to talk, free to make friends.
Free to make friends, free to, you can meet up with some of the other listeners of the podcast and talk about all the rad stuff in Salt Lake City, including this podcast, and connect with us. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast in iTunes, as we are here once a week with a brand new episode. It's free to subscribe, and believe it or not, subscribing in iTunes really helps boost those ratings, gets the show exposed to more people.
And just tell one friend this week. I challenge you to just tell a friend.
Is that the challenge this week, Chris?
That's my challenge
to
this
tell
week.
one friend,
At least one friend.
tag one friend in a Facebook post
There you go.
of an episode. But you all have a great week. Get out and enjoy the city. Support local. Go to a new festival. Go to the downtown farmers market. We'll see you at the next episode.
And good night, Grammy.